So if we're gonna have a wholesome conversation with the I5 and the genius cycle in that, then the question becomes, on an ongoing basis, what is the reality? What is the aspect of reality for you and for me, where if we were to put our attention on it, have a wholesome conversation about it, it would make the biggest impact, the biggest difference in our respective lives. Where's the place that when we work on that and we bring genius cycles to that, so that we start seeing things that we weren't seeing before, to make choices that become obvious for us, that open doorways, that lead down hallways, that lead to new doorways, that open hallways, that lead to new doorways. What are those existence? So I haven't really gone through it in the course, I've said this before, but we can say that existence or identity is what it is. We don't have to name it for it to be what it is. It already is what it is. It has a nature. It is identity. So existence with a C-E at the end. Right? Yep. And then we interpret it through a set of dimensions. Right? Okay, body part. Okay. Health. Ability to use for business. Okay, so those, you could say those are three different dimensions that we look through it on. And each dimension that we look through it on gives us a different view of it, a different slice, a different facet to this diamond. Right? It's really different to look at it as, okay, how can I use this in business? You only notice certain parts of it through that perspective, through that narrative, through that dimension. And as we add up those individual dimensions and we integrate them together, so I've got a healthy finger that I can use to type and run my computer. Right? So as the dimensions stack up, I like to say that we build a context lens. Right? It's a lens that brings context to it. And then when we see it, we don't see its existence with a CE. We don't see its identity. Its identity is what it is. And all that reality is, all the action and attractions there. But what we see is it as an existent. So our context lens, our mindset, our narrative, interprojects. It interprets what it is and what it means. It interprojects existence into existence.
Yes.
Right? So, what are the existence with the TS? The things. What are the domains of our life? What are the projects? What are the things that we are going to focus on? That we're saying that thing. If I increase my genius in that thing, it's going to make the biggest bang for the buck difference in my life.
Yes.
And so, like, how I envision our time is like you and I use each other's intelligence, insights, alternative perspectives, knowledge, intuition, to help one another figure out what are the existence that are going to make the biggest difference in your and my life.
Yes.
What are the things that matter?
Yes.
And then to help one another recognize them and then make them objects of mind. Make the stories that we're telling about that thing continuous in our experience.
Yes.
So that we take those stories seriously without getting serious about them. That we treat them with their appropriate importance. That we treat them wholesomely.
Yes.
Right? That we look for their telos. How do they evolve through time? How can this become more what it is, more an expression?
Through our attending.
Through our attending. Right? And what kind of attending? Wholesomeness. We're going to put on What's the identity? How can we identify it? What's the integrity? How can we take that integrity out into the world in a way that leads us and others towards ever-blossoming beauty? What are the pieces that make the biggest difference? And then how do we keep each other focused on the shit that matters?
Yes.
Yes, and how when we notice one another, kind of going into narratives that are tangential, that are peripheral,
Yes. Yes.
right?
Yes.
That we do two things. One, we draw attention to it and invite one another to focus back on the shit that matters.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? And second, we notice what are the patterns of how we go away and name those patterns
Yes.
so we know where to work.
Yes.
Right? Because we got shit to do in the world. And then we've got the us that's doing the shit. And problems are the solution. Every place we get taken off the trail tells us where we can do the interior work
Yeah.
so that we can take whatever energy that is, whatever it is that has us go off the trail, gets triggered by that thing.
Yeah. And that becomes a trigger to go back to that thing.
Right. So we can resolve this in the context of that so that this energy gets brought into the foundation so we get more of this.
Yep.
Yeah. That's what I think.
Fuck yeah.